I've went over this guy before on the channel. You know, the Superman from the DC Animated Universe, Justice League Unlimited saga. But I thought, I'm just trying to find an excuse to go over him again, so I said, why not? This DC Animated Universe was legendary. Heck, even passing the torch from Bruce Wayne all the way to Batman Beyond events. Superman also exists during these events, doing his thing, being Superman still, in the possible future events known as Batman Beyond. I thought I would make this video focused on this version of Superman. Let's get into it. See, here's the thing. Due to his Kryptonian nature, he doesn't age the same way humans, so even if he does have a gray streak, that doesn't mean his power is declining. And technically, since this is a possible future, anything he can do back here, his younger self, all his feats from back here should apply to this one here, because it's still him, but older. DC is a vast multiverse, so of course there's multiple universe versions of Superman, but this particular universe with the Justice League Unlimited characters we know of is in this Earth 12 universe right here in the possible future. Shout out for DC, man, for actually giving this universe a designated universe in the comic book lore to let people that were fans of this universe be satisfied, basically, that we know it's actually a part of the multiverse. A lot of his younger feats I'm not going to be going over in this video. I'm going to try to focus on his older self, but I will be going over some younger stuff because that's a good way to understand his strength too. So just let that be known. But that won't be the focus though, you know. He's got a decent amount of lore, so don't be surprised if you see me jump from animation to comics and vice versa. Just like his younger self, he has the standard stuff like heat, laser vision, you know, super breath, whether we're talking about pressure or just icicle breath. Oh, he has a different outfit too and doesn't wear a cape no more in the future. Edna would be proud. He can survive in the vacuum of space without wearing no super suit or nothing. Obviously super hearing to the point where he can hear radio signals, sounds from all over the world. Amazing eyes. He can see wireless transmissions. And just like his younger days, he has special gear for certain situations. Thanks to technology constantly improving, you know, the future, he has even better tech, like armor, to protect himself against kryptonite. Kind of how his younger self had a suit. His older self has a suit too, just like his younger self. Blocks from kryptonite radiation. So if he knows you got kryptonite, he'll just wear this. Matter of fact, this Superman is so experienced that he plans on occasions where he loses his powers, being trained in hand-to-hand combat, so he does have hand-to-hand fighting training, getting training by the original Batman from the DCAU. You guys know of the standard stuff like super speed he can use in combat, and due to him being powered by the yellow sun, you guys know he can fly and move fast while flying. All these aliens dogpiling him, just because there's a lot of y'all, doesn't mean numbers will make the difference when he can just overpower you like this. Even a futuristic Batman where his suit makes him stronger, he still can effortlessly overpower him. All kinds of heavy things. Like, of course, cars are easy to him, just like his young self, he could do this. Containment cells, we've seen him rip off. Ships this big, y'all just go to the ground peacefully. He pushes you down. Rubble this big, he can lift with one hand. Thick chunks of the ground, he can lift like nothing. Heavy containers, like this big, he can easily lift with one arm. Cranes this big are about to fall, he can easily hold the weight of that up. You guys know how much tanks can weigh. Like there's this super tank, for example, that looks like about the size of normal tanks, and Superman can easily lift it up. I mean, this is stuff his younger self can do. Obviously, he can lift 60 plus tons with laughable ease. Giant robot's fist he can stop. That's even bigger than tanks, you know. This Brainiac robot, you know, this ginormous foot was trying to crush him. His strength was able to somewhat stop it. He can move, lift, affect things that weigh over thousands of tons. Like this huge ship he can lift up. That has to be over hundreds or even hundreds of thousands of tons. And he's not even out of breath. I mean, I think it's moments like this that pretty much prove he can effortlessly lift over hundreds of thousands of tons. And if you still have your doubts, after he lifted this ship, there was like literally this tall building skyscraper that was about to fall. He had to go over there, you guessed it, and lift it up. And you can see it falling. This just adds more fuel to the fire of how he can support the weight of buildings or thousands, hundreds of thousands of tons. With his strength, you can literally put a cruise ship on his back, but also literal buildings he literally has the strength to lift up. With all this strength, imagine what his punches feel like. I mean, you got occasions where he doesn't even necessarily have to touch you. You can just clap his hands together, and the impact of him smacking his hands together does a thunderclap, can knock you out. Or clap out all this fire. I mean, we know he's durable. I mean, things that are literally bigger than buildings and things that can punch through buildings like nothing. His body can withstand being hit by things this big. So that's expected. This is what he does, but just by flying through brick walls or structures with ease. One could say he uses flight speed alone without even talking about his muscle strength to just ram into stuff with ridiculous speeds to cause a lot of collateral damage. Like, this is the kind of stuff he constantly does, using his speed to hit hard, because in a way, speed is weight. super alien beings he can punch their jaws off, punch beings like Lobo and send them flying out of the city and through a building. The same goes for Solomon Grundy, he just punches through buildings or two. Super advanced robots he can punch through. Size means nothing. Beings that are actually giant he can curb stomp. I mean, a guy that can lift hundreds of thousands of tons, these punching feats are even more impressive when you can make earthquakes with your punches. Like when it's literally narrated, when he's punching, they're talking about the floor felt like an 8.9 earthquake, which is basically about the same energy needed to easily pulverize, shake, or even destroy mountains. Like that's the type of energy he's producing with those 8.9 earthquakes. But then the feats just keep getting crazier. Like, you know how this Superman over here, DCAU Superman younger self him, it's basically just him, but younger, you know. So a lot of the stuff he can do too. Well, you remember an older feat that this Superman did? Confirmed in the guidebooks also, it's not just my opinion, that this Superman, younger Superman can move Earth's moon along with the help of Green Lantern, of course. In this particular comic, this is not just a guidebook statement. This is actually shown right here, like Green Lantern along with Superman, them working together. Say if they did have both of them working together to move the entire Earth's moon with their incredible strength. So guess what? That means he can too, because it's literally him, but younger. His older self shouldn't be much different, meaning he should be able to move at least half the weight of the moon as well. But on top of that, we've actually seen his older self physically move when he had a super suit on. There was like this kryptonite moon, not exaggerating, there's like this literal moon that was messing the world up. This huge planetoid type structure, he had to wear a containment suit, of course, to block out the radiation. He was literally being weakened, one could say, and was still strong enough to move moon-sized structures, even in the future while older, and pushed it in the sun with his incredible strength and speed. It was so much radiation that it was actually eating through his armor. So this just makes the feat more impressive for Superman, that he was still able to pull this off still, and nearly died, but you know how he gets powered by the yellow sun. Luckily, he was right next to the sun, and the sun healed him up. Right. I'm not playing about his healing factor. Like, he literally has a healing factor. Like, in this occasion, he was literally stabbed. I'm talking about straight up hole in your chest type status. And he literally healed thanks to his healing factor. So I'll let you know he does indeed have a healing factor. So not only did he move a moon-sized structure on his own while he was old, but he moved a kryptonite moon type structure. Of course, he had a radiation suit, but it was eating through it, so he was technically getting weakened when the radiation was leaking through, and he still was able to push a big structure. There's a possibility this might not be his limit on how much weight he can move when it comes to moving moon-sized structures. This makes you wonder what the limits of this Superman is if he can move things that are moon-sized. That's technically his weakness. While it is true that the moon is not as big as a planet like Earth, him being able to move a planetoid type structure like this literally means you can literally drop a whole bunch of states and cities on top of him and his super strength will be able to support that weight. Meaning you could literally drop a continent or two on top of him and his strength will be able to resist the weight of that. He could literally use a magical chain and just pull the literal continents themselves with his super strength. Imagine what his punches feel like. So in a weird way, his young self, did have help moving the moon, but one could say his older self has a more impressive feat of moving a kryptonite moon by himself. Speaking of Superman's younger self, you know, during these younger days, in the past, during the movie Justice League vs. the Fatal Five, we actually see this version of Superman withstand something that was going to rip apart the sun.
Destroy their sun. We destroy the sun. The eye. It contains all the power of the Lantern's battery. It will rip that infernal star apart.
Oh, don't mind me. We actually seen Superman in the middle of something that can literally rip a star apart. Like, he's right there next to it. And literally gets hit by an explosion that crazy and stays conscious. Oh no, this wasn't an exaggeration. The sun was literally getting ripped apart, guys. I mean, I honestly see no reason on why the older Superman won't be able to duplicate this feat when it comes to durability. It's literally him, but just younger, you know? Oh, because, you know, Superman, along with other Superman and other superpowered characters, this older Superman was one of the people to help fight this multiversal entity, Anti-Monitor, a cosmic-centric type being. And you see him over here helping move the tubes. Obviously, he can't take on Anti-Monitor by himself, but this is still impressive that we see him interacting with other comic book characters, punching a piece of Anti-Monitor's armor. Okay, yeah, that sun durability stuff definitely makes sense now. Because if you guys don't know who Anti-Monitor is, this feat right here is more impressive than destroying a star. Because Anti-Monitor is kind of crazy. A multiversal being that can threaten the multiverse type of thing. Even though he can't take him on one-on-one, this feat is still more impressive than destroying a sun, you know? I mean, we even seen him alongside other super powerful beings help push Anti-Monitor back with his heat vision. So yeah, he's a powerhouse. Anti-Monitor is a cosmic being, y'all. But working together with others, of course. I mean, we know planets vary in size. Look how small the Earth is compared to some of these larger planets, right? But the sun makes these even larger planets look small in comparison to the crazy size of the sun. And his younger self, which is basically him but younger, was able to withstand something that's bigger than all these planets, something that can rip apart the star. So it would really make sense if Superman's punches could easily tremble the Earth or even destroy it if he wanted to. We've seen this dude punching Anti-Monitor's armor. He should definitely be able to destroy planets. His punches should technically have the raw power to tremble or shake multiple planets this size at the same time, based on his durability of being able to withstand something that can destroy the sun. As big as these planets are compared to Earth, like a super large planet like Jupiter, look how small it looks compared to the sun. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah, this Superman's way over planet shattering when it comes to his punching power and durability. I mean, we literally seen him fight Lord Superman. You know, Superman of the alternate reality. This Superman that's basically identical to his younger self in every way, but just made several bad choices. This proves that he can withstand attacks from beings that are on his level of power and durability. Meaning that, yeah, he can withstand attacks from beings like Lord Superman, which is basically a younger him from an alternate reality of the DCAU. Strong leaguers that are super strong in his tier or somewhere in his ballpark of strength he can withstand hits from. To show he can take hits from beings that have similar or comparable strength to him, even if I do got to give him the advantage still. That's still admirable. Just like his younger self. Just because you have magic doesn't mean that's an automatic win against them. Superman can still slugfest with magic super powerhouse beings like Captain Marvel, even as older, so he can still slugfest with deities, basically because he has the power of deities in him. And when we're talking about raw speed, I mean, do I really have to go over all those feats that his younger self did competing against a Flash? I mean, he might not be as fast as a Flash, but this different Flash, he can still kind of compete with in fun races. You know, so there's implications he's way faster than the speed of light. Because DCAU Flash, we know that he's at least speed of light level or faster. Lanterns, beings that literally shoot out beams of light and constructs, literally called Flash of this universe, light speed as a bare minimum. So we know when anybody is being compared to a version of Flash in the DCAU, just know they have to be at least light speed, Superman included, even if he's a little bit slower. Especially when they compare other species to DCAU Wally West Flash. Heck, they even brought up Wally West in this conversation. I mean, there's implications that the Superman is massively faster than the speed of light when you look at his younger self, what his younger self did. Because you guys know there's an astronomical distance between the Earth and the sun, and in order to fly from the Earth to the sun, that takes speed of light type speed, especially if you're doing it like a minute or two or something. Like, you see this orb right here? It was on Earth, right? We actually see it take off before Superman even gets a chance to chase after it. And it was going to the sun. Yes, this was his younger self, but I don't see why his older Batman Beyond self couldn't do this too. Even though this orb had a massive head start, he was still able to pretty much walk this thing down in raw speed. Let's just face the facts. He can fly far faster than the speed of light too. So that should be a no-brainer, right? He's a walking natural super disaster. He can just randomly spin around with so much force and can make his own tornadoes to send the rest of the league flying, like even powerhouses like Big Barda. But for the most part, everybody, this Superman is a beast. DCAU Superman in general is a beast, so you know this one has to be a beast by default. His punches feel worse than a dozen planets falling on your face or even a smaller star landing on your face. His punches are leagues upon leagues worse than planet trembling, planet shaking, or the force needed to blow up multiple planets at once. His punches are way worse than all of that. Just for the simple reason that his body can withstand a lot and he can punch with similar force or worse, you know. It's that simple. His durability is crazy, so his punching power has to be crazy in order to damage beings on his level. He's fighting literal clone versions of himself from other realities too, showing he can hurt beings just like himself. Similar durability to himself, you know, all the 9 yards, same stuff. You get the idea. If you believe he's strong, you basically believe this one that I'm talking about in this video is strong. It's basically him, but older. You know, I've said that a million times in this video. But before I get going, everybody, I gotta say thanks for the donations. It helps out a lot. Respect them still. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.